It is a great day to be alive in Pittsburgh, PA. Welcome into another edition of Kaboly+Mack. Good evening, friends, yinzers, countrymen. We had a big presser as they call it in the capital J journalism business this afternoon.
Wait, Mike, I got something for you.
Oh, that better not be the one from the back of the fridge in the head coach's office. I thought he'd have more fun with that and mention that he was definitely not going to open it. He could have got in a plug for his boy and our guy Arch and been like, nah, if I want some iron, I head down to South Side, go to Archie's. But the Mike McCarthy press conference was this afternoon. He has been officially introduced as the Pittsburgh Steelers' 17th head coach. And stop me if you've heard it before, they're fourth in the last 57 years. So it's officially official now, and here we are to break down what we heard from Mike McCarthy this afternoon. And a little later, we're also going to have somebody who has some fairly unique insight from McCarthy's time in Dallas, because he got to talk to him every week in Dallas. My boy RJ Choppy from 105.3 The Fan down in Dallas, who gets to talk to both Jerry Jones and the Cowboys head coach every week. So, yeah, some interesting conversations we could talk to him about. But let's start by thanking our good friends at Impact HVAC. I haven't had any problems with my furnace, Kaboom. Are you staying warm over there?
Oh, I'm freezing, man. I don't know what's going on with my game room here. I'm freezing.
You got to call Impact. Message them on Facebook at Impact HVAC PGH or 412-297-1852. They'll come on over. They'll give a look, maybe a simple fix, maybe a more involved repair or total replacement, whatever. They take care of all of it so you get warm again during this wicked winter blast. And it's been, how long did it take you to shovel out your driveway?
I gave up.
What do you mean you gave up? You just stopped shoveling halfway through?
Well, I made the path to get the car out or the truck out. But it's just a mess, man. Driving downtown today was just a mess. 51 was terrible.
What were you doing downtown?
Well, downtown, not downtown. I call downtown.
Anything over the mall is downtown for you? Okay, so you were.
I swear to God, I'm driving down 51, and some jamoke is snow blowing his car lot, his used car lot.
Right there by the
51.
Yeah. Right there by Edgewood Avenue, where people already wreck all the time anyway. I don't know.
Did you see
I saw it on the way home tonight. Yeah.
Like, what is this guy doing? 51 is terrible.
51 in that area between like Nobles Lane and Edgewood Avenue is a disaster. It's still covered in snow, basically. Anyway, it took me 2.5 hours to dig out yesterday morning.
Oh, yeah, I just made a little path, and I said, good enough.
Good enough.
The problem is I can't get out and turn now because there's such a narrow path of my road leading up, and another jamoke across the street put his garbage out. So if I back up, I'm backing into his garbage can. I didn't care. I hit it and left.
Right. We need to get it. We need to get T-shirts. No jamokes allowed. Jamokes. So let's start with first impressions from this afternoon. I want to hear yours first because you've been more measured and pragmatic about the whole McCarthy hire than I have.
Changed his mind.
I didn't say that. Pump your brakes there, Chief. We'll get to it in a second.
He's changed his mind.
Shut up. What'd you think?
Wow, I wasn't expecting him to be that emotional. Coaches around the league. I mean, you're 20 years into the league. You've seen it all, done it all. My goodness, from the word "here we go" after that, the guy couldn't hold back his emotion, seeing his 84 and 87-year-old mother and father right in front of him. You could just tell this means a whole heck of a lot to him. And I'm in the process of writing now. You could see the passion in his. It's just not a profession for him right now. It's a passion for him right now. And it came across like that to me. Now, at least that's part of the job. Of course, he has to follow through with it. But, man, the pressure on this guy to live up to all the expectations of everybody in Greenfield, Pittsburgh, whatever, is a tremendous burden on him, but he doesn't seem like it's a burden. He seems like he's welcoming and he's going to work his rear end off. Let me tell you, I never was a true believer in Mike Tomlin's voice got stale. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like different freaking people every single year. We mean different vibe, different feel. Got stale. Watching this, I felt a different feel, a different vibe. Just a whole set, two very successful coaches, but my goodness, you can't be more than oil and water right there. And that came across to me right there. I think they were. Now I look at it with McCarthy here. They were in need of a change, a fresh voice, and this is a fresh voice.
Yeah, I mean, look, as fun as Mike Tomlin's catchphrases may have been, and as much as they may look good on T-shirts, he coached with. I think you've mentioned this before. He thought about every single thing for the most part he was going to say on Tuesdays at those press conferences. He knew exactly what he was going in there to do, to not bury storylines, but put them to bed and say what would get the least amount of run, I guess, other than the pithy catchphrases. I don't know if he ever walked out there and had a Tuesday press conference or a post-game press conference, Mike Tomlin, wearing his heart on his sleeve. And forget heart on the sleeve. Mike McCarthy might as well have ripped it out of his chest and laid it on the table in front of him. That's where it was for him. He was all, and I will say this. Somebody texted me, a friend of mine texted me a couple minutes ago. And this is a person who a week ago texted me and said, please God, don't let it be McCarthy. And they just texted me, this might be an unpopular thing to say, but I like Mike McCarthy. He's easy to root for. And my response was exactly what I think after watching this press conference. I love Mike McCarthy, the guy. Mike McCarthy, the dude, right? He walks in there, sits down, gets choked up with his parents sitting front row at the press conference, and tells you exactly why this means so much to him. Mike McCarthy, the coach, we've talked about the positives and the negatives, I think remains to be seen. My jury is still out on that. We're going to see how he builds out the staff, what the story at quarterback is, and we can get into all that. But I will say Mike McCarthy, the man, certainly won me over. I mean, he didn't have to win me over this afternoon. I like Mike McCarthy, the guy, anyway. But I could not be more solidly in the corner of wanting to see Mike McCarthy, the man, do well in this job. Not because it's good for my favorite, not just because it's good for my favorite football team, but because it'd be good for him. And he's a dude, like my buddy who just texted me, that you root for.
Yeah. And I think that will translate over to the team, the players, the veterans, the younger guys, to see that a 62-year-old guy that has 180 wins and has been there, done that, has this still passion and the passion for his hometown team. And how many times we make a butt of a joke? Yeah, he must have Pittsburgh ties. That's why they hire him. I somewhat almost feel, reason why they do that now. I mean, after today, he's changed my view on a lot of that stuff because he's a true Pittsburgh guy. And I don't understand why coaches and hirings get wrapped up in all this negativity of, being a Pittsburgh guy when half of the country seems like they're Pittsburgh people and they wear it on their sleeves, wear it in their heart. Man, I'm a Pittsburgh guy. I'm wearing my, Troy shirt to church out in Utah or, Washington or Montana or something like that. But when it comes to the coaching staff and some of the players they have or some of the people they look at to get, we make fun of. So I think it translates very well. Of course, this is just one step here. I think he did win some people over. There's still going to be some clowns out there that don't believe it. But obviously there's a bigger steps 2 and 3 of, you said, roster building and all that stuff. That great thing was, I might be getting out in front of my skis here, but I'm calling the plays and I'm running the offense, period. I like it. No more hiding.
There's no questions about that. Nope. If the offense looks like crap on game days, we'll know exactly who to blame. If there's a screen pass called on 3rd and 12, we'll know exactly who to blame. It'll be the guy over there wearing the headset and the head coach's hat. So yeah, credit to him for owning that. And like I said, just walking out there with his heart on full display, just how emotionally attached he is to the organization, growing up here during the 70s and seeing all the success. And
right? It means something, right? Or am I just overblowing this? It means something.
I think it does. And I think a lot of people who are a little more jaded are going to look at it and say, oh, look, isn't that sweet? He's tugging at the Pittsburgh heartstrings. Oh, but that
I don't think he was. It was coming
not that
from
it
there.
didn't matter to Mike Tomlin. Yeah, not that it didn't matter to Mike Tomlin because he's from Virginia. I mean, but it does when you grow. Like most of us as kids, at least for a brief fleeting moment before we realized our athletic abilities weren't what they should be, had dreams when we were little kids. You know, we'd order the Hutch football uniform from the Sears catalog for Christmas, and we'd dream of playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This guy has been coaching since he was in his mid to late 20s, and he's dreamed of maybe having the opportunity. Like he said, it's hard sometimes to get used to the different colors that you put on when you move from team to team. This wasn't hard for him at all. You know, black and gold, he grew up in it. And a lot of people are going to say that this is all sappy and emotional and doesn't matter. And you know what? When it comes to building the roster out, hiring assistant coaches, game days, and all that, you're right. It doesn't matter. But I do think it matters in so much as this guy comes in being fully emotionally invested in the job because he has that emotional connection to the organization and knows how badly people in Pittsburgh want it to work.
Yeah, and the thought of, okay, he's 62, he's only going to be around 5 years. I mean, that doesn't come through to me right now because of the passion he has. I mean, he's a 62-year-old acting like a 30-year-old right out there. So he's going to be, it's not like he's going to be leaving, working 9 to 5 and just getting out of there just because he needs to go take a nap and watch the Tom Brokaw or something at 10 o'clock, right? He's going to put in the work. It comes across as me. Now, is he still capable of putting the team together? That's the next step of it here. What pieces do you grab? What pieces do you love? I mean, there's no doubting the offensive mindedness of him and what he's been able to accomplish at nearly every stop he's been to. I mean, people say, yeah, you were handed first round quarterbacks, but he still had to turn those quarterbacks into something too. So that's the big thing too. I mean, I think he's has the mind to still be extremely relevant. It seems like he really keeps up with, the analytics part, the new age stuff of offense, which should help him out here and not be a 62, almost 63-year-old, right? So.
Yeah. As for the actual brass tacks of personnel decisions and what the team's going to look like and how they're going to play, let's get into that. First, I want to thank our friends at Higgins Professional Painting for supporting the program. They've done some great work over at Kaboom's house. We'll have them over here at our house soon, probably sooner rather than later because we had a nice leak in the basement this weekend. That's going to have to get fixed up. We'll have them, repaint some stuff down there, maybe a few other things around the house, but they do it all. Interior, exterior, commercial, industrial. Been in business for 40 plus years here in the Pittsburgh area, and they'll take care of you too and do a great job. You want to schedule your free estimate, give them a call at 412-344-0480 or go to higginsprofessional.com. Again, thanks to them for supporting the program. He was asked, what?
I just saw a tweet by Todd Haley, our friend of the program. He says, if you were from the Berg, how could you not feel Coach McCarthy's true respect and emotion for coming back home to the coach, the Steelers? I wish him the best. # need a quarterback.
So there we go. Look at Todd Haley providing segues for the show live on Twitter. He was asked point blank about wanting Aaron Rodgers back. And he said, yeah, of course, I'd love to have Aaron back. I'm paraphrasing. That wasn't the exact quote, but he'd love to have Aaron Rodgers back if Aaron is interested in playing and coming back to Pittsburgh. He also did I wouldn't say gush, but talked very favorably at multiple points about Will Howard. Dropped the Mason Rudolph mention as well, being excited about the quarterback room. So and was asked about a timetable on when they need a decision from Aaron Rodgers, and basically said, we don't have any timetables yet. So this is the problem with Aaron, is that the first building block in any roster has to be what you're going to do at quarterback. Mm-hmm. Yet that is probably the last thing that will come into focus, given how we know Aaron likes to handle his offseason. So how do you think this plays out? Now, look, to be fair to Mike McCarthy, it was a very well-worded question by our buddy Tim Benz. I don't think there was any way Mike could have gotten away with saying, nah, I don't want Aaron back. I mean,
you can't.
Yeah. So
and you can't even play the middle of the road there either, I don't think.
So
we'll see. Well, Mike McCarthy, I'm sure about Aaron Rodgers. You pretty much had to do that.
Right. So what do you think McCarthy's vision is for this position, and what do you think they actually will do? We got free agency starting in about 5 weeks. We got the draft another 6 or so weeks, 7 weeks after that. We could get through all of that and still not know what Aaron Rodgers wants to do, which makes it tough to build out the most important position group on a roster.
Yeah. First of all, words are only words. Let's see what actions are. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Will Howard lately. I mean, what are we talking about here? Are we just talking about what he saw from Ohio State? Because obviously there's no film from last year.
Right.
So that's the issue there. So I don't know. His effusive praise, no matter where he's talked to, if it was Labs, it was Dulac, it was today on Will Howard, I don't know where you're getting that from. So I want to see what the actions are with that moving forward. What I think is going to happen, I think Aaron Rodgers is coming back, going to be your starting quarterback. And we'll find out probably
June again?
No. Probably early March.
You think? Free agency period.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I think he's coming back. And I look at it two ways. Okay, he's 43. He might not last the season. Okay, fine. I mean, not fine, but if he doesn't, then if Will Howard is able to step in, then that's what you got to do at that point. I think maybe you have to make Will Howard number 2, even though maybe he's not better than Mason Rudolph as we speak right now. But you got to make him 2 and have him have that opportunity to get in there. I think that's huge. And if he does get hurt, he can play him. If he has, if the worst comes to worst, you have a Hall of Fame quarterback that Will Howard's talked over and over again how much he's learned from him in just a year. What's wrong for having another guy come back for a year and teach the guy who you love already the way of the coaches you've been with for 15 years? Seems like smart.
I do have to question, because towards the end of it, he was asked about offensive styles and what he likes in certain things. And, he referenced, he was asked about how the quarterback position has changed over the years since he started coaching. And he referenced, increased mobility, designed runs. That's all become a bigger part of the game over the years. And in talking about the West Coast offense, he mentioned how your quarterback has to be able to move a little bit. And as we saw, Aaron is no longer the most mobile guy in the world, nowhere near as mobile as he was early in his career. So I understand not every offense is plug and play with the personnel that you have on hand, but I'm curious to see if it's McCarthy and Rodgers running it back for another year. What does that offense look like? And can they get him out and on the move? The play action, designed rollouts, that kind of stuff that really was the bread and butter at the peak of the Rodgers-McCarthy era in Green Bay. Can they make anything resembling that work with the way Rodgers moves now?
The way I would worry about Rodgers is that he comes back and he's clearly not even the guy that he was this past year, right? But you're still afraid to make that move. because he's a Hall of Famer, but everybody else can see that maybe this is the time to go with Will Howard, but we're still staying with Aaron Rodgers because he's Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy's coached him for 18 years or whatever. That's the only thing I would worry about. Honestly, I think McCarthy has a smart enough offensive mind to be able to put him in better situations than probably Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith was learning Aaron Rodgers while trying to put together this offense. McCarthy already knows for the most part what he likes, what he can do, and what he can't do. Maybe some of the stuff he can get out of the pocket is not there. So, hey, when the owner comes out and says we want to win, if you want to win, you better bring back a veteran quarterback and not just say, "Hey, bring in Will Howard." Which brings you to my wonderful question: how do you do both? Right? How do you?
He didn't really give you an answer, did he?
No, I don't think so. It's not like they ripped the microphone away from you, so you're pretty much one and done there.
But hey, good capital J journalism there by you.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Like I was telling you off air, they just pass the microphone. You raise your hand like you're in fourth grade. Birchie, over here. Then they go this or this side, this side, this side. And it's happened to me before. If the person next to you asks your question, then they hand it to you, and you're like, what do you think of Chris Boswell?
I would have given anything for your question at the McCarthy introductory presser to have been about Chris Boswell. I'd like to think that if you had been pressed and all your questions had been exhausted before they handed the microphone to you, that you would have come up with something clever about Archie's or something.
Oh, I would have been just bumbling around. Normally I'd have two ready just in case. I don't know where I would have gone. Because somebody right before me asked the icy light question in the fridge, so I couldn't have just fall back on something like that.
So the prevailing thought amongst people that I'm seeing in the chat on YouTube and Twitter and just reaction from fans is they love icy light. It's a good point. Thank you for holding it up.
Is that a beer? I'm like, yes. It's celebratory.
The prevailing thought is that we're going to get more of the same with Rodgers back for another year at quarterback. They'll limp into the playoffs, get beat in the early rounds. Someone else said, can't see him winning now.
It's hard to tell right now, right?
But let's be just brutally honest about it for a second. With Rodgers playing pretty well, really well for a 42-year-old quarterback, they got to the first round and got absolutely curb stomped. So when the head coach comes in on the heels of the owner's press conference last week where he said, we would have kept the old guy if he wanted to stick around, and we don't think we need to change much, basically. And the new head coach says, Mike left the cupboards full. All of this indicates to me, and I think most of the people that may still feel dissatisfied about this, that not much is going to change other than the name on the head coach's door.
But doesn't that could mean a lot? But there's going to be changes. But here's another thing here we're not taking into account. What options do they have at quarterback other than throwing in Will Howard and me, you, and him have the same amount of throws in the NFL, right? What other options do they have? They're not going to draft one. Do you want Ty Simpson? He's going to be a 3-4 year project, right? He could be a Kenny Pickett type of person. What are you going to do? Wait till next year? You're going to go get Malik Willis? At that point, just sticking with Aaron, at least he's a 1-year guy, and we can move on to what we want after that. So there's not many options. That's probably playing into this as well. Aaron Rodgers probably is our best option right now.
Okay, so let's pivot then. I know you said you feel like Aaron will commit to another season sometime in March, right? You said early March, but I'll give you the whole month just for the benefit of the doubt. If Aaron comes out and says, nah, you know what? I had fun in Pittsburgh last year, and I love Mike, but I think these old bones have had enough. Then you've got to pivot to one of those veteran free agent retreads I think you mentioned Mac Jones last week, Malik Willis. Who else has been brought up? That's really it. It's not
Murray, but they'd have to trade for him.
Murray or Tua. You'd have to trade for. You're not trading that.
The same old people, man.
Right.
Jacoby Brissett, Tyrod Taylor, all those same guys are out there.
Right. So at that point, like, I can get on board to an extent with, hey, let's give Will Howard another redshirt year, as it were, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, learning from McCarthy and Rodgers. Okay, I'll even go so far as to grant you that. But if there is no Rodgers and the free agent class is as bare as it could be at the quarterback position, that's the point where, and given the draft class that I think is mostly crap, that's where I pivot and say, okay, you know what? Will, it's time to find out what you can do, pal, because I don't think Mac Jones or Jacoby Brissett or any of those other names we just brought up necessarily gives us any better a chance of going to the playoffs than a first-time starter does.
Well, let me tell you something. I think Will Howard should get a shot because, look, you got Aaron Rodgers, guest on Pat McAfee show, me, worked for Pat McAfee, Mike McCarthy, worked for Pat McAfee, Will Howard, big McAfee crew is a big fan of him. So what are we doing here? Of course he's going to be in there.
We're just going to put Pat's face on the side of the helmet, on the other side, on the blank side of the helmet.
The Pittsburgh McAfees. But seriously, I mean, it's hard. I mean, just talking to people even today say, man, we just never seen Will play yet or practice or in a game. So there's a little skepticism because of that. It might not be warranted. He might go out there and, light it up, but we just don't know right now. That's tough.
Thanks to the Dan Heck team for supporting the show as well. They've been on board since the very beginning of this thing just over a year ago. You're looking to buy or sell a home in the Pittsburgh area, they'll take care of you. HeckTeamHomes.com, HAECK, HeckTeamHomes.com. All the listings are there. You're looking to buy, you're looking to sell and take some of the stress off your plate. They'll help you do that. The Dan Heck team, HeckTeamHomes.com, HAECK. I want you to think about this one now, and we're going to get back to it in a couple of minutes. I want to find the question here from Lance on YouTube. Any gut feel on the OC and DC? Let that ruminate in the back of your head while we talk to somebody who talked to Mike McCarthy every week for several years in a row. My guy from Dallas, friend of the program, RJ Choppy, checking in to talk about Mike's time with the Cowgirls. How are you, Chops?
How we doing, guys?
Good. Good.
I never thought it would be that cold in Dallas.
It's really I took the dog for a walk just before this, so I'm still chilly. It's in the teens, or at least it was. It has been. I think it's up to like 40 now. So we're getting a good melt. Got a good melt going. I just found out about the existence of freezing fog on the news for tomorrow morning. Didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's take on this freezing fog.
I was in Orlando a couple years ago. Apparently, when the temperature gets so low, iguanas fall out of the tree and hit people in the head. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I didn't know there's iguanas just sitting in the tree.
There's falling iguanas. Watch out for falling iguanas on the news. I'm like, what? What am I talking about here?
The kind of shit you're only going to get here, Choppy.
Yeah.
No relation to anything, and no relation to anything we have to talk to you about. Kaboom's just going to drop a mention of falling iguanas into the conversation.
He's talking about freezing fog. Very similar.
Yeah,
exactly.
I like it, man.
Same thing.
This is going to be a no insect summer for me. I am happy. We got a good freeze. We got a solid 5 days. No insects, no bugs, gnats, whatever. Let's go.
All right. So you can catch Choppy on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas every morning. Sean and RJ there. And they are in the unique position on their show of getting a chance every single week to talk to not just Jerry Jones, which has to be a wild ride, but also the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, which means, RJ, every week you had a chance to spend 20 to 30 minutes on the phone with Greenfield Mike, talking ball. Just shed some light on his time in Dallas, because the record says it wasn't a bad time, but the playoff results say it wasn't the best, which is similar to what we've been going through here in Pittsburgh for
Right.
the last 15 years.
Look, I mean, I liked Mike. I thought Mike was a good coach. I didn't think he was I didn't think he was exceptional, but he took a lot of the same teams that Jason Garrett had, and he took them and he won 12 games 3 years in a row with. There was an up and down with Jason. You win 12 or 13, then you win 9. Then you win 11, then you win whatever, then you win 8. So there was always an up and down. I thought Mike had, and here's the one thing I wish from our show standpoint, he didn't want to do, and I don't know what he's going to do with Pittsburgh, but we have the flagship, we get the coach's interview. Jason always did it on Monday morning. Mike wanted to do it on Friday. So we didn't really get to talk and grill him on the previous game. It's a week old. We've already moved on to the next game. So we were talking a lot about the future. So one thing I didn't like. But look, Mike he disappointed at the end of the day with the lack of championships, with the lack of conference championship appearances. I think he exceeded expectations. I mean, 3 years in a row, you can't tell me 3 years in a row winning 12 games isn't a good feat. That's a really good feat. That's a feat that not many teams ever do. And he did not have Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. He didn't have those guys. He had Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, but he's not an elite quarterback. So to me, like doing that's impressive.
I just wonder about Dak. I mean, he had some of his best years under McCarthy. How much was it just him maturing, or did you think Mike had something to do with it?
I'm sure there's something to do with it. It's not like, he didn't groom Dak from the time that Dak was a rookie, right? That's what he did with Rodgers. Dak had already been in the league 4 or 5 years. So he was kind of on his way to understanding the game. But there's definitely something that he brought along. Dak had his best seasons under Mike. Now, there was a point when Kellen Moore left and went to Philly that Mike was like, all right, I want to run my offense, my West Coast offense. That did not work. That was a disaster. And Dak was not good. And about 5-6 weeks in, they got to San Francisco. They lose 42-10, and they hit the bye week. And there was a team meeting, and they were like, Mike, we got to stop this. We got to run our old offense. Why would you change this thing up? And they wound up having a really good, final 10 games of the season, whatever it was. So that was a big mistake on his part to try to change that. But there's no doubt. I mean, the coach is going to have some impact on the quarterback. I always found it strange that Mike was the one coach that ever got any credit for the quarterback. Sean Payton gets all this credit for Drew Brees. Mike never gets any credit for Rodgers. I always found that to be odd.
So what do you think? He said this afternoon that he's interested in having Aaron come back for another year if Aaron wants to come back. You're on the outside of this thing looking in, but you also understand that the expectations of the fan bases are similar, right? Like Art Rooney has already said he doesn't want to take a step back. Steelers fans are a mixed bag. Some are willing to go 5-12 for a year in order to take 2 steps forward. And a lot of them do want to see Will Howard get a shot. What's your outsider's perspective on what you think Mike McCarthy can do with the quarterback situation here?
It's a tricky spot because from what I've seen from the outside is there's enough Steeler fans that already don't like the hire. And if he has a bad year, they're going to hate the hire even more. And that's going to speed up the clock. Even though it's Pittsburgh and they don't really speed the clock up, right? I think Mike kind of needs Rodgers just to get some good grace with the community, right? With the fan base. But there's going to come a point where you're just kicking the can down the road because you got to find your next quarterback. If it's Will Howard, great. But what's the likelihood of that? Look at the teams that are in the Super Bowl every year or the playoffs every year. It's like 12 of the 14 teams all have first-round draft pick quarterbacks. That's the formula. It's that the formula is there on how to win in this league.
Michael, you could probably tell that we're like really harping on quarterbacks here because there isn't one. I'm thinking a little bit lesser down the road here. Cooper Rush, how much did he come out of nowhere under McCarthy? And I would that one year that Dak got hurt. What, he went 4 in a row, 4 or 5? Could that have been one of his better quarterbacking jobs right there with Cooper Rush?
It's funny you bring that up. I think that was the best thing that he did, or one of the best things that he did. That is, Cooper Rush is not an elite quarterback by any stretch, but for him to go 4-1 in that season, you just don't see that, right? You don't see a whole lot of that, and it's not like it was, a couple of passes here. I mean, he was throwing the football. He was throwing the football quite a bit. I guess it was 5-2 overall, but winning 4 or 5 at one spot. I mean, that's on Mike. Cooper Rush was just a check down guy. He wasn't a quarterback that could push the ball downfield. CeeDee Lamb made some nice catches in that time frame. They had a good team around him, so there's that. Obviously he had a good offensive line, but for Cooper Rush to have a good 5-game stretch, keep him in the playoffs, Chase. Really, like, it really kept him in that spot and in the position to win 12 games again. And they don't do that without Cooper Rush.
How'd he handle Jerry?
I don't think Mike loved the whole thing, the circus. I think Mike liked Jerry. I don't think they didn't have a problem. I don't think Mike knew the power that he held within the organization, and he didn't really kind of wield that as much. I know Mike. Look, Mike's he's perfect for Pittsburgh. He'd have been great in Buffalo, Cleveland, Green Bay. He wasn't a fit here. It's too big of a. It's too big. It's too busy. He's a football guy. He wants to live. I don't honestly. I don't know if he lived out of a hotel the entire time right at the facility. I have no idea. He might have. Like that thing. I could see him doing that. It just wasn't a fit. But he got along with Jerry fine. It just, the whole circus of the Cowboys, I think he didn't understand and grasp exactly what it was.
You should look up 1137 Greenfield Avenue, Pittsburgh, and see his house.
Is that what that was? I saw that in the press conference today. That was his original, that's his childhood home?
Yeah, I think it's abandoned now, but I think they might still own. Nobody lives in it, but it's a whatever it is. So you can understand that he probably doesn't mind sleeping in a hotel. I want one little question here, and this might be a little bit off topic a little bit, but how was George Pickens this year outside of the football field?
We didn't have a whole lot of problems with George. He had his moment where he was late. He was late to a couple of things, and they benched him. He benched him for the first series. I think he may have gotten benched the second time and nobody noticed for another series. But he was fine. There was no, we're all signing up. They're going to wind up tagging him, and that's not going to work. That's going to be Le'Veon Bell all over again. So they're going to wind up tagging him and hope to get him signed. But I think if you ask Cowboy fans, they are all signing up for George Pickens.
So what's your perspective, or what's the perspective of folks in Dallas, Choppy, about how they think this may or may not work for McCarthy back in Pittsburgh?
There's a level of Cowboy fans that don't like Mike. They wanted him gone, underachieved. There's some that are like, they feel happy. I feel happy for Mike. Mike, one of my co-hosts, couldn't stand him. He was wishing yesterday was his worst day ever. Wishing he never gets another job. But yeah, it's pretty mixed. I mean, and that's, Jason was the same way when he was here. Wade was the same way. Wade's been looked on more favorably as history goes on. Mike might as well, just because, you win 12 games 3 years in a row. But look, Mike is what he is, man. And I got to say, and this is one of the things that I realized going through, and I kind of do know this to be true. He does, and you guys might figure this out, he is a little, I don't want to say insecure, but it bothers him that he isn't looked at the same as Sean Payton and Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. It bothers him because he has exactly the same resume as those three other guys. And it really bugs him. He's like, I'm a Super Bowl champ. I won a Super Bowl. I won the same amount of games as these guys. It really bugs him. I genuinely believe, and I kind of know that it does. It bothers him that he is looked on as a boob compared to the other three guys. Like, and that's the reality is that, you know, he's treated like that. I felt bad for him because I agree. I'm like, man, you got the same resume. They all had, you know, John Harbaugh didn't have the same quarterback as Aaron Rodgers, but Sean Payton had a great quarterback, and Mike Tomlin had a Hall of Famer in Ben. So it's like, yeah, he's a little insecure about that. I think you'll see. You'll catch that.
Oh, I think rightfully so. In your dealings with him, at least early on, did he happen to bring up Pittsburgh a lot, or is that just an old folk tale here that we hear that he always brings up Pittsburgh while he was in Dallas? Did you have any instances of that?
Oh, he brought it up a lot. He did. He always did, and we would lead him to that. We would lead him to that.
I was gonna say, Choppy, you used to ask me for questions every Thursday. Yeah. that think Pittsburgh stuff you needed to ask him about.
Yeah, because, you know, we try to mix it up just to like let him get his guard down, and, you know, ask him about some pizza spots at his bar and yeah, and so I mean, he always liked to talk about it. He spoke very glowingly about the city. And it's home. It's home for him. And that's, I've always thought this with players. Like, if a player's on my team and he leaves a free agency and he goes back home, I'm not going to get mad at him. He went home. Like, what, you know, like, we're all nostalgic about where we grew up.
Yeah. Before he lets you run, who were some of the assistants that you think under Mike he might look to bring with him to Pittsburgh that maybe helped build what he had, at least regular season success wise in Dallas?
Oh, the tight end coach, right? Isn't he a big time coordinator? I mean, don't they love him in Dallas?
Lunda Wells?
Yes.
Yeah. Now look, the problem is, you know, Dan Quinn was one of them and Kellen Moore was the other one. And they've got jobs. So yeah, I mean, you're looking at lower level guys within the, I don't know that he is going to do that. You know, you better hope he doesn't bring Mike Nolan. That was his first DC that he brought here. That was a disaster. That was an absolute disaster. But, you know, a lot of Mike's coaches are with Dan or Kellen, or they're, you know, they've moved on. And some are with the Cowboys still. So it's like, you know, are they going to move? Are they going to move on? It's pretty comfortable here. You know, like the Cowboys have a comfortable franchise. It's a good place to live. And you've got, you know, you got Schottenheimer, who you like. Jerry kind of is what he does. He is, man. But they don't. I mean, it's a family atmosphere kind of here. It's a lot of similarity, I would guess, to Pittsburgh and the way they run the organization. It's just, this is kind of a circus.
Yeah. Our owner talks about once a year. Yours talks once a week.
Yeah, twice a week.
Twice a week.
Tuesday and Friday. We give him Wednesday, Thursday off. But he's Tuesday and Friday. You'll never see anything like it. It's wild. It's wild. Well, if I was his PR guy, I was like, why are you talking so much?
Yeah, I've actually seen people make the comparison on social media and online. They call people who are dissatisfied with the direction of the Steelers call Art Rooney II Jerry with better PR. So take that for what it's worth.
Man, it's you know, there's a lot. I mean, again, there's a lot of similarities between the two. I mean, neither team advances in the playoffs ever. Ever. Legendary franchise, just one's got better marketing.
Yeah. Chop, we appreciate the time, man. The insight on Mike's time in Dallas. We'll catch up again soon, all right?
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. We'll see you, RJ Choppy, from Sean and RJ on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. Like I said, you got to talk to Mike weekly during McCarthy's time with the Cowboys.
Yeah, that Friday gig, I mean, that's deliberate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you don't have to answer, like RJ said, you don't have to answer any questions about stuff.
If you could ask about it, well, that was a week ago. We're looking forward to Washington.
We're moving on. We're not talking about that. We got to work that. Don't worry about it.
So what are these questions you told him to ask about Pittsburgh?
He would ask about, like, pizza places. That was the one. You know, naturally they got to ask everybody from Pittsburgh about Permanis. So, you know, I told him to ask him what his favorite Permanis
Since
sandwich
you go
was.
there once a week.
I don't go once a week all year. It's only during high school football season. My wife and I go on Friday nights.
You went there during the Banana Ball game.
We did. That was a Friday night during high school football season.
Really, was it? That was the first week of the season. It was the Friday.
So don't give me crap. We're not at Permanis every week, just a lot in the fall. Anyway, thanks to Choppy for coming on.
Is that his real name?
Yeah, that's his real name, RJ Choppy. I don't like those people that use fake names. That's stupid. Who would do that? Thanks to Arch, by the way, who played football with Mike McCarthy. You've heard by now at Bishop Boyle when they were in high school back in the day in Homestead.
Go down there. You know what? If you go down to Arch's, you might run into Big Mac.
You think he's not going to hang out at Archie's? He knows if he walks in there, everybody's going to be all over him.
Why not?
I mean, it'd be great. It'd be awesome. Plus, well, look, if you wander down there and you don't run into McCarthy, at the very least, you get some of the best wings. No, the best wings in Pittsburgh. 80 cents every Monday through Thursday night. Great sandwiches, burgers, and flatbread pizzas, too. Of course, always ice-cold iron and IC light and mango on draft. So you want to watch sports, you want to eat food, you want to have a couple pops while you do it. Archie's on Carson, the best place in Pittsburgh to do so. And maybe if Arch is there, he'll share some McCarthy stories with you since they grew up together.
I think we all should go down there, because Sunday was huge day. Conference championships.
Yeah.
Had to close. Weather.
Snow. Yeah.
That's a big hit for a lot of these places on that Sunday.
We are due for like a I wouldn't call it a Kaboly+Mack world tour. But
take it on the road.
Take it on the road a little bit. Maybe get back to Pittsburgh Brewing for a show soon.
412 hit some.
Yeah.
I don't think we can go with I don't think we can hang out with
I don't think we can hang out at Higgins while they're like painting someone's house. That would be weird.
Or
go on a call with Impact while they're fixing someone's furnace. Hey, you mind if these two jamokes set up in your basement while I replace your furnace and do a podcast?
Yeah, I don't think we can do that. We might have to limit that somehow.
We could do it. We could do an open house for the Dan Heck team, right? Like, come see this house, and Kaboly+Mack will be there.
Yeah. So maybe what else we got here? I can't even think now.
First and goal. We could do a show there.
We should go down there.
Yeah, when they have one of their signings, they just did one with Ben Kindle a few weeks ago.
I don't think we need to go there for a signing. I think they're busy enough when they have the signings.
That's true, but maybe people would be interested in saying hello. Hey, hey, we've signed stuff before. It's happened. We defaced that Penn State helmet for the
poor Fryermuth,
for the Pat Fryermuth fan that wanted our autograph.
Hey, speaking of that, what'd you make of the two people that showed up today?
Who showed up? I didn't see
Jr. and Alex Highsmith, current players. There was Mel Blunt, Joey Sr. was there. Will Allen was there. Ryan Shazier was there. But Highsmith and Joey Porter were there.
Well, Ryan's still in is he still technically in a working capacity with the organization? No, not anymore. Well, no, that's it.
Old man Porter said, "Get your ass down there, JPJ. They're going to pay your ass, so make sure your face is seen."
I did think it was interesting that Highsmith got the shot at from McCarthy.
Well, here's the thing: Joey showed up a little bit after that, so I don't think he saw him come in at that point.
Okay,
so that's why. And Joey was on the far end, but Highsmith was there. So
that does. But before we get back to the assistant coaching question, and then we'll wrap things up. He does sound like he wants to keep the defense mostly intact. And
once again, words are words, actions are actions. Let's wait.
Okay. He had a lot of complimentary things to say about the defense.
You don't want to go into your introductory press conference and say, "Yeah, the hell with Patrick Queen."
Well, but if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say nothing, right? He could have just not mentioned it at all.
I mean, it's going to happen. There's going to be tweaks. There's going to be movement. It's just a matter of where it's going to come from. I don't know. Oh, I guarantee that defense is going to look different. Not maybe at the top.
Right.
I mean, put it this way. If Aaron comes back, McCarthy's there, Watt's there, Cam's coming back, man. I don't care if Carl Dunbar's not going to be there or not. Cam's going to come back. Dude, he's going to say, this is my last chance to add to my
I think it's good.
Hall of Fame resume.
But this is part of the problem that I think people had with the idea of, status quo, is that a lot of fans, obviously, because of the results in the postseason, they want as far away from the status quo as possible, which is why they were not necessarily.
Do you need status quo, or do you need better coaching? Can you fall back on, but we brought in ex-coordinator, ex-offensive line coach, so we'll be better because of that.
But when you're talking about retaining assistants who were a part of the staff previously, you're talking about maintaining some of the status quo. Now, granted, at a position like outside linebacker, who's the outside linebackers coach again?
Denzel Martin. He's already interviewing somewhere else.
Right. So maybe he's been told, but that would be one where I'd be like, okay, they got really good edge rushers. By all means, bring that guy back. But, there are other positions where maybe it doesn't make as much sense. I don't know.
You would assume offensive line coach is definitely gone. I don't think the wide receiver coach is coming back because I don't think there's any connection between him and McCarthy at all. Who else are we looking at? Tight ends coach, no way. Who else on offense? Maybe Arth. Who knows? If they like him, depends on who they bring. Defense, Dunbar will be gone. Denzel's obviously going somewhere on the outside linebacker. I don't think Gerald Alexander is going to be welcome back. That's just pure speculation on my part, but I don't think he'll be welcome back at all. So there's going to be a lot of turnover. You might get it, McCurley, I guess. Maybe. He has some ties with McCarthy.
Okay.
Other than that, maybe Arth. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Arth got along well with Aaron, too. So if you...
Well, you know who else gets along with Aaron? Another local guy. None other than...
If he starts... Look.
Yetzi. Why don't you... I think he might be your neighbor. Why don't you give him a call? Not Luke Yetzi, his brother-in-law.
Yes. Luke's sister lives up the hill from here.
Yeah, I covered her in high school, and him in high school, too, so I know Luke.
Yeah.
Look at I just found in the back room. Look at that sucker.
Just hanging out, just laying around.
That's a pretty nice ball.
Don't play with your balls in front of us, please. Back to the question that Lance asked before Choppy interrupted us. Any gut feel on OC and DC?
I don't think OC is going to matter that much. It could be pretty much of anybody because we know who the OC is. It's McCarthy. So if you have somebody who can, he doesn't have to be a guy, obviously, calls plays or anything like that. So I don't think that's going to be as a big of a hire as the defensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator is huge. Obviously, we know Patrick Graham's going to interview, and the guy that I broke the news on, Jason Simmons.
You broke the interview. You don't even remember the guy's name.
Yeah.
Justin, not Justine, suggests Raheem Morris.
I haven't heard that. I don't think Al Harris is on that list, which is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, you mentioned him right out of the gate.
I thought, and I was told by obviously not a good source that he might be in play, but this guy probably was trying to read the tea leaves because of how long he's coached for. But as of right now, that's not the case of Al Harris. But it looks like it's really, really trending towards Patrick Graham. Which is, he has experience, but not good experience, decent experience. Isn't he off the Belichick tree?
I don't know. Is he? Does that count as? I can't keep track of who's on what tree. Naturally, people have to suggest former Steelers.
I didn't hear
Deshae.
I haven't heard anything. I don't know. I just know Jason Simmons, which is interesting.
Larry these days?
Larry's in Tampa.
Is he still there as like assistant head coach, linebackers or whatever? Or is he DC now?
No, he's not the DC unless they just really.
Yeah, outside linebackers coach.
If he's recently.
Or inside linebackers, sorry.
I mean, I don't know. Jason Simmons kind of surprised me when I was made aware of this thing. I mean, all I remember is Jason Simmons from back in our youth, or not our youth, our formidable years of being a pretty good special teams player. I mean, it's hard to say, well, look at his numbers at Washington, so he stinks. Why will you want to hire him? I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. It's just you can't blame the defensive pass game coordinator for how the Washington Commanders played defense this year. So I don't know. I don't know anything about Jason Simmons other than what you know about him. He was
Okay.
a special teams player here for 4 years.
All right, so it's why, but it sounds like they're working on it pretty quickly. A couple of times McCarthy referenced the last 48 to 72 hours have been busy trying to put the staff together.
Yeah, it's definitely got to put that staff together as quick as possible and get the guys you want. He always kept mentioning too, we got to have the right fit. He never really expanded on what a right fit is. I'm guessing it just goes with the personnel. I don't know, unless it's the way they think about it. Maybe
They're not going to bring in a 4-3 defensive coordinator when he's stated that he wants a 3-4 guy. That could simply be what he means by fit, right?
I thought
they're not going to bring in a Tampa 2 or something. Not happening.
Slammy Sportscast. He's a mean cuss. That's a very remember the Titans line.
Yes.
I might be a mean cuss, but at least I'm a mean cuss to or something to that effect.
Another former Steeler mentioned, somebody brought up Jerry O.
Jerry O fell off the planet after he left here. Then, tragically, his wife got killed. I haven't heard much about him at all.
So there's options out there. We'll see which way they go over the coming days and weeks. Since our good buddy Slammy brought it up, and he was the first one in the chat before the show even started, I got to ask you, Belichick not getting in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. I don't look. I there is one thing that I could probably not care less about, and it's Hall of Fame debates.
Well, Pro Bowl, there's one.
Yeah, but
that's a pretty bad debate.
Bill Belichick not getting into the Hall of Fame. I see people online losing their minds about it. Relax. He'll
I don't care, but it's obviously a personal vendetta or something, right? Well, he wasn't good. I would look at, but you have to understand, we all look at these voters as old, mean, crotchety old people, but I don't think it's like that anymore. You look at the Hall of Fame voters, and 3/4, I remind you, I've been in this business 25 years, and half of them I have never heard of before, which is weird. I'm like, who's this person? Who's this person? So it's just not like old school writers anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not as crotchety as it used to be.
What's crotchety? I'm not crotchety. I'm like, people say I'm upset and mean and always pissed off at everything and grumpy. The Pittsburgh fans are the one that hates McCarthy. What the hell? Then when I say, hey, McCarthy might be pretty good, you just carry water. Wait a second, I thought I was a hater. What am I?
You're both. Stop it.
Speaking of Stephen A., he was destroying Omar today on that first take.
Oh, yeah?
Does he not realize that Mike Tomlin had say-so in all of the personnel moves, if not stole picks of who he wanted on the personnel moves?
What was Stephen A.'s issue with?
Omar's not bringing them this, and they have bad quarterbacks, and he's not bringing anybody in to help the Steelers. And over the past couple of years, what's Colin did, all crap like that. Like, what are you talking about? Because he and Tomlin, I guess, are tight.
Stephen A. doesn't always speak from a perspective of a wealth of knowledge on a subject when he speaks on it. I think probably just leave it at that.
It's just strange thing when you know how that is.
All right, so real quick,
Slammy right now. Slammy's hammering the freaking comments.
Yeah, he is. Before we wrap it up, I got to ask for your real quick thoughts on the Royal Rumble coming up Saturday.
The
Rumble.
I like Obafemi, right?
To win the Rumble?
I would like to, but it doesn't mean he will.
He's not. No, he'll be the guy that gets in there early and goes on a run for 50 minutes or something, and then he'll get bounced late. They're not going to let him win it, though.
Yeah, I hear you. It all depends, I guess. I think, is Cody going to go 3 in a row?
No. Braun Breaker, buddy. Braun Breaker.
I don't like Braun because you know what they mentioned it the other day. I think that we want Braun to win Logan Paul. So
it's going to happen, but
Well,
there's going to
Roman.
be some controversy within the vision. You see, somebody's going to have the opportunity to maybe try to eliminate somebody else. You're going to have a little bit of a
I'm going to go out on a limb and saying Seth freaking Rollins wins it.
Wins the Rumble?
I think he's going to show up, and he's just going to show up because our boy Ryan Clark pretty much gave it away the other day.
Well, he gave away that Rollins is going to be there. But I don't know. Does he? And then what? Does he challenge Punk? Or, does he challenge McIntyre? Or is McIntyre still holding the belt? Like, there's a lot going on there. Yeah,
the whole Shinsuke stuff about accidentally doing a post. The guy can barely speak English, and he's putting an Instagram message out about AJ told me he was going to retire after the Rumble. Yeah, come on. I wasn't born yesterday.
It's all a work.
By the way, this stupid YouTube TV agreement.
What happened now? What channel can't you get now?
I can't get the ESPN stuff that they promised us. It's been 2 months.
I don't know what to tell you, man. You got to get on that bootleg cable. Got to get your cheater box up and run. That's all I can tell you. All right, so
it's a 2 o'clock event, so maybe I'll just wait and go on that crazy website at 7 o'clock and just watch it there.
There you go. Done. So that's going to do it for this one. We will be back maybe later in the week. I don't know how many developments we'll have in the coaching staff between now and then. But there's obviously going to be plenty to talk about as McCarthy starts to get settled in. And we'll go from there. Sound good?
Are you asking me or Slammy Sportscast?
Both ends.
Slammy Sportscast. ESPN sucks. All I got to say is, you must be out of beer.
I'm not out of beer. I just didn't have one to crack. I just finished eating dinner. I'm kind of full. Wasn't going to pound an IC Light right now. Maybe a little later. I let you have it this time around.
I can drink my cranberry ginger ale.
That's just what? You got a UTI? I
don't even know what the hell that means. What the hell? No, I like cranberry ginger ale. You know what, though? You feel it like halfway with cranberry ginger ale. Like the ginger ale zero or whatever the hell that's called.
Yeah.
Fill it up the rest of the way with iced tea, and it makes a nice little mixed drink without the alcohol.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't drive anywhere.
UTI
is a urinary tract infection, and
they have to do with cranberry ginger ale,
cranberry juice. They tell people when you got a UTI, you got to drink.
Sounds like somebody that has had a UTI before.
No, it's like a backhanded way of calling you a broad. Basically.
Oh, you're not allowed to use that word?
Sure I am. You use gangbang all the time. What are you talking about?
That's different. That's just a term. I wonder if Mike McCarthy likes to gangbang because Well, what I'm saying is Tomlin hated us using the word gangbang as a group setting interview.
I don't think this is great. Sorry, at the very end here, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Why didn't anyone ask tough questions today? Beat wants to know.
What was a tough question? They beat 34. While you're listening, what would you have asked? ILOs or Minios? I mean, what are we talking about here? Plus, you literally had the microphone in your hand for like 4 seconds before they ripped it out, and then you were done.
I would have loved to hear something like, I don't know. Just hey, Mike, how come you didn't win no playoff games in Dallas?
Hey, Mike, you really think 43-year-old Rodgers?
You really think a 43-year-old Rodgers, this team could win the Super Bowl? Or be competitive?
He was last year, wasn't he? But just wasn't that
he was asked if he wants to bring Rodgers back, and he said yes. What? It's about I don't know. All right, that's going to do it for this one. As we broke down the Mike McCarthy press conference, we'll join you again soon and keep you up to date on what's going on with everything. And yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks to everybody who supports the program. Make sure you're following us on social media. We'll talk again soon. Enjoy the Rumble this weekend if we don't talk